landing right down with the wind when the wind is that stiff. But if the wind changed at the last minute, this plane has a limit. I mean, and I'm doing off the top of my head, so it's not going to be exact, but I think the crosswind limits on this aircraft are probably 20 knots, maybe even less. I was on one of these planes just a couple days ago, and we had to get out of the takeoff lineup to get out because the crosswinds exceeded our crosswind limits. And so that could very much have something to do with it. It does look to me like it has left the runway. And that, again, is also another, another clue here. If you have a tremendous crosswind and you do have problem with the landing gear, we see that it's gone. If it did leave the runway in a windy condition, any kind of incline banking, like I said, they hit a seawall in California about 20 years ago or 15 years ago, and that caused the plane to go inverted. Any kind of tipping of that wing, any kind of hitting of an object or losing one side of the gear, you can go inverted if you've got, especially if you've got a wind. So Pete picked up on that wind sock. That's a good clue. I suspect that'll have a lot to do with it.
And David, Susie, when they say accounted for, that everyone on board is accounted for, does that mean that everyone is definitely alive?
Yeah, if they haven't reported any souls, any fatalities, then they're saying that we've accounted for them, we have them, they're off the aircraft. So that's a really good sign. And that, again, is testament to the fact that the engineering that goes behind these airplanes, you notice that both of the wings are off of the airplane right now, and that's by design. They have breakaway explosive bolts that hold those wings on so that if the aircraft does go sideways and it does hit the wing, if that wing was too stiff, it would tear the fuselage apart and dislodge the seats and damage the fuselage. But it's designed to allow that when it's a huge impact on the wing to strip those wings off, and then that aircraft can continue to move and come to rest safely. So there's so many examples now that we know we don't have fatalities. We have this opportunity now to show exactly all of the things that have happened in the past that we've learned from, as Peter Goals brought up, the 16G seats, and then also these breakaway bolts on the wings. There are so many things in this particular accident that came together perfectly to make this a safe situation.
And we want to play some video again. This is, again, you're looking at Delta Flight 4819 from Minneapolis to Toronto. It is there on the runway in Toronto without its wings, without its tail, upside down. And this is what was captured by one of the passengers upon exiting the plane shortly after this crash.
We're in Toronto. We just landed. Our plane crashed. It's upside down. Fire department's on site. We're upside down. Everybody, most people appear to be okay. We're all getting off.
Just stunning video from the runway at Toronto Pearson, and we've just been handed an update. This is from the Association of Flight Attendants, CWA. They confirmed that AFA crew were working this flight, and they confirm reports are there are no fatalities. Again, Pete, really a stunning development given the circumstances there. I wanted to ask you to lay out what exactly a crosswind is for those of us that aren't familiar with aviation, because obviously it sounds like a complicated landing when you have a wind like that, when you have a runway that appears to be icy. In layman's terms, what is it like when you're trying to land a plane in those conditions?
I don't fly large transport category airplanes like this. I can tell you more about my experience from a pilot of a small airplane, but a crosswind landing is one of the biggest challenges that pilots face regularly. Airline pilots, doesn't faze them so much because they're in crosswinds and have to land and take off and that all the time. That essentially means instead of the wind coming at your face, which is the